Greetings once again. We're meeting here this evening with Mr. Yair davidiy, who is a Hebrew scholar who has done some wonderful, extensive work on the lost tribes of Israel, and he's the leading authority on this subject in the world. I'm here in Jerusalem, and I looked him up, and he was gracious enough to come and share some of the issues of great importance, which must eventually be addressed as we come to the threshold of the end of this age, when all of the 12 tribes will be found, Messiah will return, and the breach of Jeroboam will be healed. So I'm particularly blessed to be able to be with Yair, and Yair, thank you so much for coming and for sharing.
Thank you, Given.
It is a real blessing.
It's a pleasure to be here.
We were discussing before our little break the tribes, and we discussed Zebulun and looked at the connections to Holland there, which seemed to be very clear. Also, we looked at Reuben, which have very strong connections to France, and Yair managed to point out a number of connections here which concur with the spiritual connections that we made from the scriptures, looking at the subject from the point of view of discernment of spirits, which we call discernment of spirits in the Christian tradition, trying to discern the spirit behind character. And there are 12 tribes on the breastplate of the high priest, and in the New Jerusalem, when it returns, there are 12 foundations and there are 12 gates. In the book of Revelation, there are 12 in the book of Revelation chapter 7. So we know that Messiah is going to return, and he's going to have 12 tribes, and that obviously the lost 10 tribes are not gone forever and not lost forever. So we'll continue on with that along those lines. Yair, do you want to make a brief introduction before we talk further about some of the specific tribes in Europe?
Yes, our tribal identifications are only general ones. We believe that within certain areas where Israelites were to be predominant, we find indications that the particular group of Israelites that were in those areas belong to specific tribal groups, to specific families, clans within these tribes. It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone in that area belongs to that tribe, or that everyone in that area is even of Israelite origin. It just means that there's a good chance that is how we can. That is an attribution that can be made.
Yes, and so they actually hold court.
Yes.
They're not 100% of the people there, but they are the prevailing spirit that sets the agenda and the spiritual milieu of the area.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I would also like to point out, if we have a few minutes, in general, the biblical proofs which say that lost tribes will be in the end times will be in that area, or amongst those peoples.
Yes.
Just use the summary which we have as an appendix to this book, to the tribes, and has a list of biblical proofs, which is also can be seen on our website, britam.org.
Yes.
Britam website. Shall I run quickly through the list?
Yeah, right ahead. Yeah.
It says that in the prophecy of Isaiah, the lost tribes in the end times will be at the ends of the earth, at the geographical extremities of the continents. Mm-hmm. This is what is called by the ends of the earth, Katzei Haaretz. In Hebrew, it says that, it repeats that several times in a context referring expressly to the lost tribes of Israel. Mm-hmm. And remember, incidentally, these proofs, you can say that in general they could apply to anyone, or they could be have a general application. So a point which we also insist upon being applied is that we say that not one specific proof. We're not applying one specific proof isolated in itself. Mm-hmm. We're taking a whole list of hundreds of different proofs and looking for one and showing that all of these proofs, all of these different branches of evidence can only be applicable to certain groups of people and to no one else. It says that the tribes will be in isles, that they will be in peninsulas, that they will be in the Atlantic Ocean area, they will be in the region of Tarshish, which in Isaiah, it mentions that the region of Tarshish, Isaiah 60, and Tarshish refers to historically to Tartessus and the southwest coast of Spain. But in classical terminology and also in rabbinical terminology, it could also apply to the Atlantic Ocean area in general.
Okay, so this is beyond Gibraltar, out in the southwest of Spain, heading up towards. Heading up towards
the whole ocean area, which encompasses the north and western Europe, the British Isles, reaching up into North America.
I see.
The Atlantic Ocean. It also says that the lost tribes will be in the west. Isaiah 24:14 and Hosea 1:10. It says that they will be to the northwest of the land of Israel. It says that it will be in the northland, that they will be in the land of Sinim, which we explained to mean Australia. It says that they will be in the best places of the earth, not only at the ends of the earth, but in the best places of the earth in Isaiah. He emphasizes that because the end places of the earth, you have Alaska, portions of the Kamchatka Peninsula. There's some very, the Arctic, the very inhospitable regions, which can also be called geographical extremities of the continents. So Isaiah comes and says there will be ends of the earth and at Atzilea, and they're in the best parts of thereof. Just to put an emphasis, to put a fine point on this proof. It says that the Israelites will worship God in the fire, in the fires in the isles of the sea, which in the isles of the west, and this historically, also up until recent times, up until a few hundred years ago, throughout the British Isles, they used to light fires on the hilltops. This is what is being referred to as the fires in the isles of the sea. It was a way of communication with each other. Before they had the telegraph, in the British Isles, they used to communicate with each other in ways known from the times of the Celts, from before the Romans were there. In other words, from ancient times, the tradition continued right up into recent period. For instance, when the Armada, Spanish attempted to invade Britain, the approach of the Armada was relayed all over the British Isles through the lighting of bonfires on the hilltops.
Oh, okay, the bonfire tradition, that was on the hilltops.
It's referred to by Isaiah and in connection with Israel in the last days, or towards the last end age period.
In Isaiah 60.
Yes, in Isaiah 24:14.
Okay. Yes.
It says the lost tribes will be in Zarephath, in Obadiah, in the book of Obadiah, and it's in the second last verse. Zarephath in the Jewish tradition refers to France, Zarephath, and it also can refer to both France and to Britain, according to rabbinical commentators. It says expressly in the Hebrew Bible. In the Hebrew Bible, it says this first exile, which is of Zarephath, the first exile. In other words, the first exile, meaning the exile of the lost ten tribes, to distinguish it from the later exiles of Judah. This first exile of the lost ten tribes, as Rashi says, referring to the lost ten tribes. And also Nachmanides said it refers to the lost ten tribes, who will be in Zarephath, which in the far north and in the west, and in the area, according to Rashi and Abarbanel, the area of France and of Britain.
So Rashi was a very prominent
a scholar, one of the greatest scholars, Jewish scholars, the most revered, most respected.
Yes. And so when was Rashi?
As just offhand, in 1100 something like that, around that period of the Middle Ages.
He brought a lot of scholarship into focus and did some writings to bring together a lot of this information as to what happened.
Yes. I was 11200, and I was thinking of Nachmanides. Actually, Rashi was earlier, in the early 1100s.